Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast. This is episode number 367. My name is Adam Patterson. With me today, we got Kevin Rakestraw. Hey, Kevin.
Hey.
What was that little?
It's a pandemic. The majority of the country's on fire.
Maybe before we dive into what we're going to be covering this week, I think it, doing a movie podcast and talking about movies and trying to have fun and keep things light, it's becoming, sometimes it's difficult to do that. It's difficult to keep the energy up. It's difficult to not just be talking about what's happening in this country and in this world all the time. And sometimes when, we talk about these movies that in the grand scheme of things are pretty insignificant, it feels awkward. And so I think that we would be remiss if we didn't mention the horrific things that are happening across this country involving the protests. And it's tragic. It is extremely infuriating.
I hear you.
I think that I can safely speak for you, Kevin, when I say that we lend our support 100% to the protests and everyone in the communities who are getting out there and standing up for their rights and what they believe in. I hope everyone is remaining safe, and if you feel the need to get out there and stand up for what you believe in, please do so, but please do so safely. And also, fuck all of these white supremacists who are going out and causing all of this violence that's occurring. And for the most part, fuck all these cops who are doing this stuff too. Uncalled for. There's a lot of the footage and a lot of the videos that I saw involve peaceful protesters who are being ruthlessly attacked by these officers for no reason. You're hearing these stories about journalists, like journalists everywhere being attacked, pepper sprayed, shot with rubber bullets by police officers. What the fuck? It's uncalled for. But I think it's also important to highlight all of the good that's happening around these protests too. You don't see that so much. You see all of the violence and all of the negativity. But if you look on Twitter, I'm hoping that we see more of this, where we're seeing, communities gathering around this and providing things like water and food, and there's all of these funds that have popped up that you can donate to help bail people out who've been arrested during these protests. So I think that there's also a lot of positivity that can be gained from this as well. On that note, I'm going to try to power through this. On the show this week, we have 2 reviews lined up for you. We'll be talking about the sci-fi film The Vast of Night and the latest Wakaliwood action film Crazy World. Also be going over some we're watching on the watch list and new releases on VOD and Blu-ray. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Please remember to review us on iTunes if you get a moment. That would be super helpful. Just a couple housekeeping notes. No Ryan watches a movie this week. I'm having a bit of an issue in my apartment where I have no AC, and it is like 100 degrees in my apartment right now, and I have all these like really high-powered fans blowing to try to cool things down, but when I'm recording a podcast, I have to turn them off, and it gets like, it's so brutally hot. And I didn't want to miss this show, but I decided to postpone Ryan Watches the Movie because it was like 92 degrees yesterday in my apartment, so it's really bad. Just a reminder, there is a new Saved by the 90s out now, so check that out if you get a moment. With that, I think we can dive into our first review. All right, let's start with The Vast of Night. So this is directed by Andrew Patterson, no relation to me, by the way. I have a synopsis here. In the twilight of the 1950s, on one fateful night in New Mexico, young switchboard operator Faye and charismatic radio DJ Everett discover a strange audio frequency that could change their small town and the future forever. Kevin, we'll start with you. What did you think of The Vast of Night?
Pretty interesting, gotta say. And I wasn't 100% sure if this was going to work because essentially what it is, really get down to it, it's just a radio drama, but packaged in a film, which it seems like that's not going to work. And especially for an hour and a half, it's not going to work. But luckily enough for me, it did. It did work.
100% agree with you. I was a little hesitant at first with this, and I do have some criticisms with it. But there's this like undeniable charm about this movie, and I can't really quite put my finger on it. But I was just, I was really, really taken with it. I really, really enjoyed myself with this movie, and I think that it starts off incredibly strong, and I think that it gets its hooks into you in that opening scene because it's very fast, it's very frenetic. There's lots of really fast dialogue happening, and I think the other big highlight for me, not to jump too far ahead, but the camera work for me was definitely a highlight.
Yeah, and you're right about it getting off to a really strong start because the only way that this works is strong writing. And then on top of that is going to be the performances of that screenplay, right? And your two main characters right off the bat show that they're more than willing, up to the task.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So you have Sarah McCormick playing Faye and Jake Horowitz playing Everett, and they were great. Like they were both charismatic. They were instantly likable. You sort of formed this bond with them from very early on, and it was very enjoyable to spend this amount of time with these people. And like you said, I mean, it is by and large, it's a radio play. So there's not a lot of action or anything like that. It's most of what's happening as far as like these encounters and stuff, and the strange goings on in this town is all told through like anecdotal conversations with people on the radio and in some like interviews that they do with people. So it's all sort of, you have to interpret a lot of what's happening, and it works for the most part. I will say that there were times, specifically like the interview that they did with the woman, I felt like it lingered on a little bit too long. Like it was starting to lose me in the latter half of that conversation. And then there's also a few times when during the conversations when I believe it was when Everett was interviewing the guy on the radio, it cuts to black and you're just left with black and him telling the story. And I kind of understand what the director was going for here. We were supposed to like sort of picture it in our mind as he's describing this encounter and all of that. But for me, again, that went on a little bit too long. It was just a little bit dealing with too much black, too much darkness.
Yeah. No, I know there was a couple of odd choices, that being one of them. And then also okay, I get it's kind of introduced as this like
a Twilight Zone.
Yes, a Twilight Zone type deal. What was it, like Paradox Theater or something?
Yeah.
With the old style TV. And I was like, okay, that's a little cute. I get it. But then the weird decision to like occasionally go back to the old flickering set for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, that didn't work. Yeah.
Like, why?
That didn't make sense. That didn't work for me at all either. And I felt like, this is a relatively low budget movie. And I'm sure that there were budget constraints, but I feel like if they were able to like shoot this on film, like 35 millimeter or better yet, 16 millimeter, I think it would have looked a lot better visually, because I think that they do a really great job with the aesthetic. So like the costumes, the sets and all of that stuff, I think all of that worked. You have the 50s cars in there. You have like the school gymnasium, and then the Faye is a switchboard operator. And those were some of my favorite scenes when she's like rapidly, patching people in and switching that stuff around. I loved all of that. So I think like production design wise, they were on point, but visually, like the actual video quality, I thought felt like it looked too contemporary. It had this sort of like fog over it. Like, it was like kind of a muted, like the color palette was very muted and washed out. It used a lot of the visuals are like very, very washed out looking, but it also looked very digital to me. So I feel like if they shot it on film and maybe color corrected it in a different way, it would have looked more authentic. To be clear, it wasn't a huge detractor from me. It was just something that I felt like maybe they could have improved upon.
Yeah,
but
and I'm sure that they probably feel the same way.
Could be, yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm sure that they probably looked at it too, like, man, if we could have shot this whole film.
Yeah, and I don't know if they could, given some of the crazy camera stuff that they do in this. Like, I mean, that scene, that whole opening scene when Everett's like running around and talking to all these people at once, and it's just like a really long single take shot, and it's going into the school and stuff. And then that scene when, and I believe you can actually see this in a trailer. I think the first trailer I saw for this was just this entire scene where it's like this really incredible shot. I don't know if they used like, I don't know how they did it. If they used a drone and kept it really low, or if they used like an RC car or something, but the camera just flows from like the switchboard operator booth to like the radio station to the school, and it's all in one continuous shot, and it just looks so good. I really loved that scene.
I agree. Yeah, because I think that was like the majority of the whole like first trailer. I think was just mostly that whole scene.
And I love that. And I think that when you have a movie like this that is almost entirely based around conversations and your imagination, you know, putting things together in your imagination, having really good camera work and really good cinematography it's so important, because a lot of the focus is put on that when it's all dialogue based. And I think in this case, they really knocked it out of the park with the camera work.
Yeah, because I mean, you don't have a lot to do here. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have a whole lot of space to really play with the camera work too much. And the fact that they were able to get some things in there to make it memorable and liven it up a little bit, you know what I mean, is pretty impressive, considering that the majority of this is at most two people conversing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
I really, really enjoyed this. Even though I had a few minor quibbles with it, it's a movie that stuck with me for days after I watched it, and I definitely recommend it. And it's available on Amazon Prime, so you can watch it on Amazon Prime if you are a Prime member.
I also appreciate that they were able to get the 50s era basketball.
Oh, yeah.
That looks like 50s. It's so boring.
I love how the whole town was at the game. And that's the thing, like, this town, you know, we're predominantly focused on two characters, but everything in this town feels so alive. Like, they did such an amazing job of fleshing out this little place in New Mexico. And I loved like the downtown scenes and stuff. Man, they did such a great job with it.
They did, yeah.
Any final thoughts on The Vast of Night before we give this a score?
No, I don't think so.
All right, I'm sitting at like a 7.5 on this one.
Yeah, I'm like a 7, I think.
All right. Again, that is on Amazon Prime, so definitely check it out. Now, just be forewarned, it is like lo-fi. It's very lo-fi, so don't expect a lot of alien action. It's good
storytelling.
It's really great storytelling, and I think there's something special here with this. Moving on, we're talking about Crazy World. This is the latest from director Nabwana Igg. You probably know his stuff if you're familiar with any of the Wakaliwood titles. This premiered at TIFF, and it is now available on the We Are One Film Festival, which is an online film festival. Now, if you're not familiar with this, all of the major film festivals from around the world, including TIFF and Cannes and Sundance and Tribeca, all the biggies, they sort of came together and curated this free online film festival that's happening right now you can go on YouTube and look at their YouTube channel and watch all the movies completely for free. Now, they premiere at different times, and they're available for 1 week from the premiere date. So Crazy World premiered Friday, and it'll be available for 1 week. So you, as of right now, you can go on to YouTube and watch this movie completely for free. However, they are accepting donations. So if you check out the film festival and you like what you see, I would consider donating. I think that this is a really cool idea, especially given the times we're in. And I would encourage everyone to check out the lineup and watch some stuff, including Crazy World. I have a synopsis here. Children are being kidnapped and killed for the magical properties their blood is believed to contain. Two fathers, one of whom has been driven crazy from the loss of both his wife and daughter, and the other of which, who believes his son is still alive, join together in an attempt at rescue and or revenge. At the same time,
either one,
whatever happens first. At the same time, the kidnapped children are planning their escape. Now, we're both familiar with the Wakaliwood stuff. I think it's safe to say we're both fans of the Wakaliwood stuff.
Definitely.
And to me, I think this is my favorite of all of them so far.
Okay.
There's something about this movie that I just immediately loved. And I think it's due to the fact that the movie begins with them talking about how this movie is on YouTube, and you're watching it on YouTube, and then they're like trying to the piracy police come in and they're asking you to not pirate the movie and stuff, and it just got me thinking about how unique the Wakaliwood movies are. And there's a million action movies out there, and there's tons of like low budget straight to VOD action movies that people don't put any effort into these things and they just churn them out. There's a certain amount of effort that is just missing from those movies, but when you see a movie from the Wakaliwood guys, it just oozes with creativity and originality, and I just kind of love them on those merits alone. And when do you ever see movies that have intros like that to them? Like, there's just nothing like it.
No, and the fact that it has color commentary throughout.
Oh yeah.
No I don't know of any other movies that have a VJ Emmy.
Absolutely not. And I found what was I just watched a Wakaliwood movie recently, one that I never saw. Oh, Bad Black. Yeah. And I found VJ Emmy's commentary in Bad Black to be distracting because I thought that the story of Bad Black was really good on its own, and I felt like the commentary from VJ Emmy cheapened the story a little bit. But then in Crazy World, I felt pretty much the exact opposite.
It didn't seem like he was in it that much on this one.
You didn't feel like there was a lot of commentary?
No, it was. Maybe I'm just misremembering Bad Black, but I felt like there was more of him. This one seems kind of toned down.
Well, maybe that's why I liked it more.
Maybe.
Well, with Bad Black, it was pretty much constant commentary.
Yeah, that's what I want.
And
he gets me hyped up. He's the hype man.
He is the hype man. But at any rate, I liked his commentary in Crazy World, and I thought it was more fitting than in Bad Black, because I felt like even though the subject matter in Crazy World is still, when you boil it down, it's still pretty serious. I mean, they deal with some serious topics here, but I felt that Crazy World was a lot more comical and goofy than Bad Black was. That's not to say that Bad Black was like super serious, but I don't know. I found this to be a lot more fun.
There's a lot going on in this movie, I think. Between you have the mainstay of VJ Emmy in there, which livens things up throughout, especially his laugh. Just his laugh alone, that little thing that he does. I just love that. The opening, the whole way that that's set up. Then they even interrupt like halfway through and go back to that,
Which I loved. I loved that they did that.
And I love the helicopter going backwards and the helicopter being taken down by baguettes. It's so ridiculous and it's so fun. I don't understand how anyone can not like it. You know what I mean? Like
I agree.
It doesn't seem fathomable to me.
I agree. And I think that with every new movie they release, each one is a little bit more assured than the last. Like, I thought that this one was like just the filmmaking quality I thought was significantly better in this one. Like, I feel like they're really starting to hone their craft. And like there's a lot of like really good filmmaking in this. Like, the editing is a lot better in this, and a lot of like the camera work is really impressive. And even like the action scenes I thought were more complex in this one and better choreographed. I mean, there's a lot of fighting and a lot of shooting and stuff going on. And yes, if you've seen any of the other ones, you'll know that they like to use After Effects and like just load it up with crazy After Effects stuff. And that happens in this too. But like the hand-to-hand fighting and stuff was all really good. And I just really enjoyed myself. I did love the scene when the one guy gets exploded and BJ goes banana everywhere because for some reason when the guy explodes, a banana comes out of him.
And I thoroughly enjoyed like towards the end especially when he goes on like his little kill spree.
Mm-hmm.
And it's keeping track and he levels up. And then when they do the combo,
there was another scene. I can't remember what it was. Like somebody got hit in the head or something, and they added this like animated like bonking graphic, and it looked really good. It was really well placed.
Yeah, no, they like that towards the end where they really start letting loose and putting in the video game stuff. They do it so perfectly.
Yeah, the Scott Pilgrim style.
Mm-hmm. It's just it just really added to the whole finale of the ridiculousness of this whole thing.
Yeah, if you haven't seen any of the Hollywood movies, I would highly recommend it. I think that this is a good place to start, simply because it is free. It's available now. If you have Amazon Prime, I think there's a few of them on Amazon Prime too. You can check out.
And if you watch one of them and you're like, "Wow, I don't like this," just stop. Yeah, stop there because
then you're done.
You're done. You're not. It's not gonna. None of them are different. I mean, they're different in ways, but it's kind of
They have their own style. They have a very specific.
Yeah, there's a consistency.
Yeah, there's a very specific style. But there's also this really great. I mean, just the level of creativity in these movies, like the fact that they're just constantly breaking the fourth wall, and it's something that you don't see in other movies. And not only that, but just the level of ambition that these guys have. I mean, these are movies shot for no money at all in a very small village, and like they turn out so good and so entertaining. I love it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then that's part of the charm too, is that they try and do the big stuff, like cars flipping over, but they're not actual cars, obviously, or the helicopter stuff. And that's why it's just so great.
I really loved that scene when the one guy, he like fell, he was like on a roof and he fell and he landed on the motorcycle, on the dirt bike. And it was like, it was like done with green screen, but I thought it looked pretty good.
Yeah. And I think that like they tapped into that. And I think that it also comes down to the viewer, you yourself. If you're able to kind of embrace your imagination, it's kid stuff, and it's awesome.
Yeah, there's this.
And it's so much fun, and it doesn't distract from it at all, and it actually makes it even better. And you're just like, you know what? I actually like this more so than like good CGI.
Exactly.
Good effects with stuff blown on. Like I'd much rather see a building blow up and it's like little blocks of a picture.
Yeah. Yeah, there's this DIY mentality to their movies that is just so utterly charming.
Yeah, and there's no one's doing that. Like, you have plenty of DIY comedies, dramas, dramedies, that type of thing. But no one has the backbone to do it. Like, I'm gonna do straight up action movies.
Big
and I'm not
action
gonna
movies.
work with it. I'm not gonna be hindered by my budget.
Nope.
I'm gonna find a way, and I don't care what it looks like.
There's a new documentary about Hollywood that's coming out hopefully this year. It premiered at a festival, but I can't remember. I think it was going to be at South by, and then it obviously that was canceled. So, but I really want to see it because I know that Vice did a little thing about them like years ago, but I want to see like a full on feature length documentary.
And it's funny because I remember you talking about that. I don't know if it was the last show or the show before. So when this movie started, and he's kind of like, it's the director himself kind of like showing you around. I was like, oh, this is the documentary. Cool. And then it just turned into a real movie. I'm like, I don't know what's happening right now.
Oh yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, not only do they break the fourth wall, but a lot of the humor is very meta too. Like, there's a scene later on in the movie when they show the director with, I guess, his kids, but there's like that scene when they go in and he's like sitting there and he's watching his own movie, and the piracy police come after him for his own movie. And it's just so great, man. It's just so great.
I also enjoyed that there's numerous times throughout the movie where a new character is introduced. So VJ Emmy does, like a little like introductionary to tell you where you might know this person from, and then it'll cut to like clips from that movie, like a little highlight reel.
Yep. All right. Anything else to add about Crazy World?
No, I don't think so.
Oh yeah, and all these movies have very brisk run times too. Like, so they're not bogging you down with the runtime on these movies either. Like, this one was like an hour, and according to IMDb, it was an hour and 22 minutes. I think it might have been shorter than that even.
No, it was only like an hour.
Yeah, and that's with the added stuff, because I know they had to have added that stuff on at the beginning with the YouTube stuff. Like, that had to be new, right? Like, that couldn't have been the same one that they had at TIFF, because how would they have known that it was going to be on YouTube? So all that was new, and then like the middle part was new too, because it had all of those. They got all like the fans and stuff who were in quarantine because of COVID. Yeah. So
I think like originally maybe this movie's like 37 minutes long, 39. It's kind of insane, but it's also weird because IMDb shows that this is a 2014 movie.
Yeah, according to IMDb, it came out in Uganda in 2014. So maybe it is like an older. I don't know.
And then 2016 on the internet in Uganda.
Which also, just, I don't know.
It's crazy world. I also love the globe shooting itself.
The funny thing is, like, because I saw the poster before I saw the movie, and then the fact that that's actually in the movie, I was like, yes, they put it in the movie.
Love it.
Yeah. Anyway, highly recommend Crazy World. Kevin, what are you gonna give it out of 10?
You can't. Like, that's the best thing about these movies. You can't. There's no point.
Yeah, there's no point in rating them. You just have to see them.
Yeah. Does it make you smile or not? I think that's really what it comes down to.
For me, I think Crazy World is their best that I've seen yet, but I've only seen Bad Black and Who Killed Captain Alex.
I definitely want, much like VJ Emmy, I would like to see the Uncle Benon movie. Like, when he shot that little sizzle reel, and he's like, I want to see that movie.
Yeah. Oh, that's the other thing. Like, this movie is really quotable. Like, if you're into movies that you can quote, there's so many one-liners and stuff in this, like, just hilarious, like, non sequiturs all over the place. Definitely a very quotable movie.
And they're just so well placed. When that kid does the leg thing and VJ Emmy just yells out Van Damme.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
All right, let's dive into our watch list. I think it is My turn to go first. I mentioned last week that I was checking out the Chattanooga Film Festival, which was online, and I caught up with a few other titles from that since last week. The first being Scare Package. Now, this one is probably one of my favorites of the festival. This is a horror anthology, and these days the horror anthology for me is there haven't really been many good ones out there recently. I think the last one that I really, really liked was Southbound. I think you liked that one too, if I remember correctly.
I think so.
I think we were both into that one. This one's interesting because it's 7 stories, and it is kind of it's a very like meta horror story. So all of them sort of play around with horror tropes, and it's clearly a movie made by horror fans for horror fans. There's lots of like winks and nods and references, and all of the stories are very much horror comedy focused, so none of them are really to be taken too seriously. And while like any other anthology, you have some strong entries and some weak entries, I thought that most of these were entertaining, and none of them were like downright awful. So I don't know when this is going to actually be out, but I would recommend, especially if you're a fan of horror, check out Scare Package. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Well, I watched one, so it'll be quick for me. And that's No Fee, No Fee. This is a documentary currently on Mubi. It was on originally a part of their the 1 month type deal in partnership with the Museum of Moving Image, but it is a part of their library now that you can go on. I don't know how long the library thing's going to last on Mubi to take advantage of it. This is a relatively short documentary, a slice of life type deal in Madagascar about a guy that owns a hair salon. He's a barber. And the first, like right at the beginning of the movie, his main shop, he's like on the main street, business is great, but the city tears it down, kicks him out. So now he moves to like the poor district, and he's trying to apply his trade there, and he's trying to find like a new kiosk, like in a prime location to get back at it. And it's really just, slice of life, just, day to day, what he does. It is just a touch redundant because the day to day of his life is not that much going on. So thankfully it's short, so that definitely helps, because if this was much longer, I don't think it would be able to withstand that. But it does have a nice ending because it all kind of comes together in this, the title itself is about, dreams in the Malagasy language. And so at the end, it's like him cutting someone's hair, and there's a bunch of people hanging out, in the shop. And he's just like, what are your dreams? And it kind of just goes around to all the people like hanging out in the shop, like what their personal dreams are, what their dreams are for Madagascar as a country, like what they would like to see. So to me, it's kind of like it's in the middle. It's a nice little documentary. It doesn't really stand out too much to me, but it's definitely worth a look, and especially for I can't imagine there's that many documentaries, slice of life documentaries from Madagascar. So it's definitely something that I would suggest for like an early morning, like a nice early Sunday morning viewing.
Nice cup of coffee, sit down in front of the TV, computer, watch some No Fee, No Fee.
Yeah. Yes.
Cool. And that's on Mubi, so you can check it out on there. Continuing with the Chattanooga Film Festival, I saw Dementor, which is the new one from Chad Crawford Kinkle. You might remember that name from Jugface, which is a movie that came out quite a while ago. It was a long time ago. 2013, that one came out. I really like Jugface. But Dementor, not so much. This is not so much a movie for me. It felt, and I hesitate to say this because it probably wasn't, and it was probably done all in a very respectful way, but it at times felt a little exploitative to me. And I'm sure that's probably not even true, but it's just, that's kind of how it felt. It's not the main reason I didn't really gel with this movie. So it's about a woman who was in a cult. She was in like a really weird cult that was led by Larry Fessenden. So that it has that going for it. And she escaped the cult, and she gets a job as a caregiver in a group home. And so she's taking care of these special needs adults, and she thinks that one of them is in danger, and she has to like sort of utilize the things that she learned in the cult in order to quote unquote like save this woman with Down syndrome. And the way that it's shot is very much like sort of a docudrama style, where it's all like done in handheld, and it all feels very realistic. Especially when she's like going into the like care facilities and interviewing people and working with the special needs individuals in the facilities and stuff. And I kind of like that, but at the same time, again, it's like, do these people know that you're like shooting a horror movie with them? And I don't know. There's just something about it that just didn't really feel right to me. It's kind of surrealist in its horror, and it's not particularly like scary or very compelling. So overall, it just really wasn't my jam. Was not into Dementor.
No, that does not.
Yeah.
That does not sound good.
Worse yet was a movie called Eat Brains Love.
No, just that title alone.
I know. I was already like, I don't think so. But this is a horror comedy directed by Rodman Flender. Now, Rodman Flender...
That's not a real name.
It is. It's a real name. Rodman Flender directed Idle Hands.
Oh, okay.
So that was one of the reasons I was like, all right, the guy who directed Idle Hands is back in another horror comedy. Does it live up to Idle Hands? The answer is absolutely not. It is really bad. In fact, I hated this movie. I had to watch it. I had to turn it off 4 separate times. I could barely get through it. It is unfunny. The jokes are juvenile, very lowbrow, and the story is just something that we've seen before. It felt like a ripoff of the show iZombie, which I wasn't really a big fan of to begin with. Just nothing original here, and there's really bad narration in it too, like throughout the whole thing, that absolutely doesn't work. And then on top of that, the ending, quote unquote ending, is not even an ending. It just ends. And I guess they're trying to like set it up with this kind of cliffhanger ending for a sequel, maybe, but come on. So anyway, Eat Brains Love, absolute pass on that. Hard pass. Probably one of the worst things I've seen this year.
Wow.
One of the more interesting ones at the film festival is a movie called Jumbo by Zoe Wittock. This is it's a French film about a woman who falls in love with an amusement park ride.
Uh-huh.
And it's based on a true story. I think there was an episode of that. I think it was maybe My Strange Addiction or something like that, where it was about a woman who like had a relationship with like a tilt-a-whirl machine.
Uh-huh.
And this is based on that. It stars Noemi Merlant. She's most notably, she was in Portrait of a Lady on Fire. And she plays this sort of introverted young woman who doesn't have any like real human connections, and she falls in love with an amusement park ride. She works third shift at this amusement park, cleaning it up and stuff, and she it just happens, just like most relationships. She just falls into it, and she names, even though the amusement park, or even though the ride is not called Jumbo, she names him Jumbo, and it's I don't know how to describe it. I mean, it's definitely unique. It's sort of a coming of age story, but there's just a lot of heart in this. It's odd, but it's all played very straight. Like, it's a drama. Like, it's not funny. And the way that they visually represent the relationship between her and Jumbo is pretty interesting. Like, there's some unique imagery happening here. It sort of reminded me of Under the Skin, where there's a lot of like black liquids. So Jumbo, yeah, maybe check that out. I would actually recommend Jumbo. In fact, I think that was probably my top pick from Chattanooga this year. Great festival, by the way. I saw Blood Machines. This is on Shudder. So if you have Shudder, you might want to check out Blood Machines. This is directed by Seth Ickerman. The interesting thing about this is that it's a movie, I guess, but it's three parts. Each part is only about 15 to 20 minutes long. The whole movie is only 50 minutes, so it's less than an hour. And it feels like, I mean, if you're familiar with Seth Ickerman's work, he does a lot of music videos and stuff for Carpenter Brute. It's like that. I mean, this is like basically a sequel to his Turbo Killer video that he did for Carpenter Brute, which is really a really awesome video that I'd recommend looking up. It's sort of this very ambitious sci-fi story about a ship, like a downed spaceship, and these two, like, I guess they're like scavengers. They're working for some like corporation, and they go to like pick up the ship for like scrap or whatever, and it turns out that the ship is like alive, like it has an entity inside of it which escapes. It's very cerebral, but on a visual level, there's nothing like it. I mean, it is just outstanding visually. Narratively speaking, I don't think there's a whole lot here. I think that this is like, it could be the start of something really cool. Like, the world building is there. Like, I want more of this world, but Blood Machines as it is, there's just not a lot there with the story. There's a lot of like surreal imagery. A lot of it feels sort of like a music video, but I wanted more in the way of narrative. So maybe a light recommend, just because it's only 50 minutes and it's split into 3 sections. So like, you can watch the first one, and there's like an endpoint to it too. So it's almost like it's almost episodic. So you can watch the first one, and if it hooks you, you can continue. And if not, then you're out like 15 minutes, Let's talk about what we have on VOD this week. June 2nd, we got A Clear Shot. Got The Infiltrators. A Clear Shot is Mario Van Peebles, by the way. It's an action movie. Then we have The Infiltrators, which I believe is a documentary. I think Oscilloscope is putting that out. We got Punching and Stealing. We got Searching Eva. And then on the 5th, we have Yourself and Yours, which is a virtual theatrical release. We got The Hammer with Will Patton and Mark O'Brien. It's got a nice poster. I like the poster. Hand-painted poster. Don't see those too much these days. Tommaso, that's also a virtual theatrical release. That is the new one from Abel Ferrara, starring Willem Dafoe.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm interested. We got Judy and Punch. This is with Mia Wasikowska and Damon Harriman. We got 2040. That's a virtual theatrical release as well. We got Dreamland. As you pointed out to me earlier this week, this is from the guy who did Pontypool, Bruce McDonald, which I totally didn't know, but now I'm interested. Stephen McHattie, Henry Rollins, Juliette Lewis. So it should be a weird one.
Yes, that's what I've heard.
We got Becky. Now, Becky this is an interesting one because it features Lulu Wilson, Kevin James in a dramatic role.
Oh, yeah, that's right. This is that one.
Yeah. He plays like, I don't know, a killer, a serial killer, a convict. He plays a convict on the run, led by the merciless Dominic. He plays Dominic. So it's like a home invasion thriller. Kevin James invading your home. But the funny thing about it is the poster, it doesn't even look like Kevin James in the poster. It's kind of bizarre.
No.
Like, I cannot see the King of Queens in this picture. Joel McHale's in it too. We also have the Collini case on the 5th. We have The Dinner Party. Bring Your Appetites. Something tells me it's about a cannibal family or something, because we haven't seen that before.
No, we haven't.
We have The Deeper You Dig. Love Won't Stay Buried. That's a horror movie, actually. And I believe that is it for VOD. Quite a lineup there. Quite a lineup.
It's a lot of stuff.
Blu-ray this week, we got a new 4K release of Jaws. That's probably like the 12th version of Jaws that's come out. Parasite is coming out. If you haven't seen that yet, definitely pick that up. Glengarry Glen Ross is coming out on Shout Factory. That's one of their Shout Factory like collector's edition things. Tokyo Godfathers from 2003 is getting a new Blu-ray release. Urban Cowboy from 1980, that looks like a steel book that's coming out. Valhalla Rising from 2009. One Cut of the Dead is coming out. That's also going to be on a steel book. If you haven't seen that yet, I would highly recommend it. Apollo 13 is getting a new 4K edition. That also looks like a steel book. The Gates of Hell from 1980. That looks like that might be a Vinegar Syndrome. No, it says Scorpion releasing. I'm not sure what Scorpion releasing is.
You guys on the block.
New game in town. Let's see. Beanpole from last year is coming out. Flash Gordon from 1980. That looks like another steel book. One Bedroom from earlier this year. It's kind of a all right thriller. Extraordinary from, I think that came out earlier this year. That's a horror comedy. That's pretty much it. Those are the notable ones. What about Criterions this week?
There are no Criterions.
No Criterions.
I do have one little bit of info because I looked up Scorpion releasing. Wanted to check out the new game in town. And apparently their website, scorpionreleasing.com, it says that they specialize in bringing some of the most sought after Indian studio movies, but if you click on that, it just turns into a pharmacy website to sell you some pills. So just a heads up.
Oh boy. That's kind of funny. I did forget to mention that the Al Adamson Masterpiece Collection is coming out on Severin Films. This is like all of Al Adamson's movies. It's got like a ton of stuff. It's 32 movies, 2,841 minutes. So if you're an Al Adamson fan, this is for you. I saw a little preview of like an unboxing of this box set, and it looks really high quality. So I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. You can send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @filmpulsenet and @filmpulsekevin. And if you have a minute, consider giving us a review on your podcast platform of choice. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.